Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and we're about to start our weekly webinar, Inside Circle Interactive Trading Conversations. We're gonna give maybe a minute or two to more people to come in, as I can see the more people coming in. Meanwhile, I'll need your help if you can please confirm that you can hear me by typing OK into the questions window. Thank you. Again, guys, if you could hear me, please type OK to the questions window, so I know we're good to go technically. Beautiful. Thank you very much, guys. And also, if you could see the AvaTrade logo with the title of the webinar, type CSEE. So I know we're also good with visual. We're good with visual. Can you see it? If yes, just type SEEC. Beautiful. Thank you very much for your assistance. So let's start. Thank you, guys. I got it. We're all good. And I appreciate your assistance. I hope everybody will be as active as this with asking questions. And let's begin. I apologize for coughing. Sometimes I'm going to try to mute myself when I have to cough. I've been struggling with this virus for almost 2 weeks now, but I hope it's gonna leave me alone very soon, because it's been a little bit inconvenient. So this is me, Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I've been involved with trading since June of 2000, when I started as a prop trader back in New York City. After spending 11 years in prop trading business, I moved on into a less stressful environment, as I like to share, and also started to mentor and educate other traders. And I'm very happy that I have a great opportunity these days to assist our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda, this is especially for new people, I'll explain. We have up to an hour, and we ask questions about specific markets. We have a lot of webinars. My colleagues are doing beginners webinars, other things. I also do weekly trading plan webinar on Sundays. There's a lot of topics, and this specific webinar was my idea actually, to bring the podium to you guys, so you can come in, take the mic, virtually, and ask the questions. And then we discuss it, and then we analyze by looking at the chart. All you have to do is just type the question into the question window, where you were confirming the audio and video quality. And it could be about any assets that we are offering. It could be any currency pair, commodity, index, individual stocks, so on. Okay, so guys, so you just ask the question, and we'll discuss it. And if I also will take a look at the chart technically, if I know of any fundamental details or news on that specific instrument, I'll be happy to share with you, as it's of course open and public information. Risk warning: you can find a full statement at avatrade.com, and of course everything we do here is purely educational. These are the channels of AvaTrade. You have Twitter, you have Telegram, and my favorite YouTube channel, when you can find a lot of information that includes tutorials, a lot of educational material, and also the webinars, including this one, are being posted later on YouTube. So if you missed the webinar, you can always find a convenient time to find it and to watch it, so no stress. If you are watching this on YouTube, or will be watching it later, also, if you like it, please don't forget to put the likes. If you feel like sharing it, feel free. Please subscribe and click on that bell, so you'll be notified when new things are coming in. Okay, so we're going to bring the MT4 platform now. I also have MT5 ready if we need to. There's a larger list of assets, a larger variety of assets on MT5. And again, just to explain details, we have up to an hour. We'll be going as long as we're having questions, so please feel free. You can ask multiple questions. Also, take into consideration that some people will be watching it later on YouTube, and they have no chance to ask the questions, so you'll be the channel for them as well with your questions and with answers that we'll try to come up with. Okay. Now, regular people know me. I do not fake questions, so I'm not gonna pretend that somebody asked this or that question. That's why it's totally up to you. And there are some days that I have to beg for questions. I don't really like it. I'd rather spend time answering them. So we have a very nice audience here, and I hope that today we'll use up that full hour with a lot of questions and discussions. So let's start. Again, technically, all you have to do, just type your question here in the questions window. I'm going to read the question, and then we'll discuss things. Okay. All right. That's it pretty much. Let's start. Feel free, ask the question. Just give an example. Somebody asked, what do you think about euro dollar? What do you think about gold, oil, Apple stock, anything else? So feel free. Something that you have a question about, something that you trade, something that you'd like to know more about. Okay, Francois is asking the question that it's not related, but I'm going to answer while I'm waiting for a question. He's saying, I'm trading on MT4. Would you rather recommend MT5 and why? No, I can't recommend either. If you're happy with MT4 and you're happy with the list of instruments, you can continue. If you'd like to trade more instruments that are not offered MT4, you can switch to MT5. It's totally up to you. Okay, good question. But again, let's stick this evening to the questions on the specific assets, okay? And not to administrative questions or any technical questions, all right? Okay, guys, we have a very nice audience. I see a lot of new faces, so don't be shy. Feel free. You're welcome, Francois. Feel free to ask questions, and let's keep it. Let's keep on going. I like good dynamics. There are some days that we have a lot of questions. Some days, as I said, I have to literally play a dentist pulling the teeth. I don't like to do that. I don't have the license to being a dentist. I stick to the trading part of my career. Okay, so as more people coming in, please feel free to ask questions. As I said, we have up to an hour, and we can go as long as we're having questions coming in. All right. Now, Francois, you had the question about MT4. Don't you have any questions about specific assets? Sorry to put you on the spot. Okay. Sergio is asking, how about AMD? I would expect it to fall, but it seems it will rise. Okay. Let's take a look. I think AMD we can find on the MT4, MT5. There we go. AMD. I don't know why I can't edit. Sorry about that. Maybe it's already in. Hey. AMD. Let's try to find the data away. Sorry about that. A few ways of adding the stock. I don't know why I'm having a hard time to putting it in. Stay. AMD. Here we go. Okay. Sorry about the technical things. Okay. So Sergio is asking again to the question, and I'm happy we already have questions built up. Good job, everyone. Okay. So Sergio asking about AMD. I would expect it to fall, but it seems it will rise. So here's AMD. See what happens. All the technology went up a lot. As Nasdaq went up, I think in the 12 months went up 32%, and it was driven mostly by semiconductors. Nvidia is one of the biggest gainers. So taking Nvidia as a leader, I think last week again, like I said, if I know any fundamentals, I'll share with you. Then we'll go to technicals. So there's Taiwan Semiconductors. They're producing, I think, the most semiconductors for most of the firms, or chips, whatever you want to call them. They're predicting a big boost of production for this year. They said that the first quarter might be a little bit slower, but starting of second quarter, it's going to be a high demand. You know, it's mostly focused on AI. So all those big names, AMDs, NVIDIAs. Intel is really limping. They're far behind all this AI curve. So the semiconductors, they've been very, very strong. That includes AMD. Now, as you see here, in the past couple of days, Nasdaq sold, and also these big names sold as well. And I think it worked both ways. The sell-off in stocks caused the sell-off in the index, vice versa. Now, also, yesterday we had earnings, or started earnings from big firms. I think Alphabet, the parent of Google, and Microsoft, they came up with pretty good earnings, but both stocks sold after the earnings report. So again, if you take something that I like to mention, especially for new people, if you want to understand any market, you try to really zoom out. So, and that's how I approach anything that I trade, or I'm looking to trade, or I try to teach someone. So we zoom out to a larger time frame to understand dynamics, where we're going and where we're coming from. So here's your AMD. 2021 November, we reached the peak of 164.32, and we sold to 54.5. That's a lot. It lost like a tremendous amount of volume, right? And then after hitting that low in October 2022, which 22, as we know, the whole year until October was a really bad year for the market, especially for the technology. With the Feds, one of the biggest reasons the Feds were raising the rates aggressively. And after making a high on January 3rd, I believe, the US equity market sold all the way till October. So after hitting that low in October, we had a nice bounce, correction, and 3 consecutive months to the upside. And of course, it's all driven, of course, by high demand and AI related business. If we move to a weekly chart, we can mark this top That was, you know what, we'll go to weekly chart so we can mark this top here. High of 184.81. Okay, so this is our resistance for now, clearly. And take a look what happens here. On the weekly chart, move this here. This week we actually retested this level here from November of 2021, and we bounce off. So we clearly now, at least, we don't know. I try not to pretend that I know where things are going because nobody does. And every trader has to sooner or later realize that. I had a lot of ego in the beginning, especially being a day trader, prop trader. I tried to be perfect. Doesn't exist. So you trade probabilities. So here, at least we know that this is our immediate resistance, 184.81, and this is our support, 164.60. Okay, now move to daily chart. It looks clearer here. Looks very nice. So a few times we tested it here. The moment we broke above 164.60, we had few tails. We never closed below that level yet. So a trader would establish an opinion, or humble opinion here, that this 164.60 holds. Okay, and take it from there. Again, you need to take into consideration what the general market is doing. Now, another big thing today, in about 2 hours plus, there's a Fed decision on interest rate, and more important, there's going to be a press conference after that. So we'll see a little bit of more understanding what the Feds are standing in their course on possibly start to cut the rates, which would be potentially beneficial to the market. So we have to know what the market is doing in general. So on one side, you have AMD showing a strong support here, 164.60. On the other hand, if you take Nasdaq's been selling aggressively for the second day. So the question is, will this sell-off continue and pull in everything in, including the AMD, or will Nasdaq turn around and AMD being pretty strong here, holding these levels, going towards retesting the highs, right? That's it pretty much, right? Okay, that was AMD. Henning is asking a quick analysis: South African rand to euro. Okay, good question. I personally don't watch that pair. I'm more familiar with the dollar euro, but let's see. Here we go. Okay, so as you know, every pair has two sides, right? Here you have euro on one side and ZAR or South African rand on the other side. So both sides are affecting the pair, of course. So if you have a weak euro, a strong ZAR, or even if you have a weak euro and kind of a neutral ZAR, the pair is going to go down. If you have weak euro and strong ZAR, it's going to be going down faster. And if you have strong euro and weak ZAR, of course, the pair is going to go up. So if you take euro first of all, it's been weak. And all these pairs, they either crosses or exotic or anything else, but the major pairs are usually to do with the US dollar. So to understand this pair, it's important to take a look at USD ZAR first of all. So, or for that matter, we take a look at euro dollar. So you can see euro dollar has been selling against the euro's been selling against the dollar pretty much, right? And if you take daily chart here, We've been having a strong resistance here around 110, and we've been sitting here, as you could see, on this 200 moving average for a very long time. So again, today's Fed's decision and press conference the most will be affecting a lot of things, including this pair, right? So as you could see, euro has been weak against the dollar, and if you take USD ZAR, the dollar has been weak against the ZAR. So here's your answer right here. If the euro is weaker than dollar, and ZAR is stronger than dollar, that means that there's no brainer that euro ZAR has no choice but going lower. Okay, so it's correlation. You have to know your homework. You have to know which pair, and of course they're fundamentals. And I shared it, I think, a few times with this audience. Last year, end of May, I was in South Africa for the first time. I'm planning on visiting again. My good friend lives there, in Cape Town area. So working with the customers for many years, we had good relationships, good understanding, but I understood much better the economy and the life style and cost of living and situation in South Africa by being there for a week. I went shopping, I spoke with people, I've seen things. So if you're trading ZAR, and I don't know if you're from South Africa, and if you are, you actually feel the strength or weakness of the local currency by the prices, by inflation, by the state of the economy. So that's why I always say, if you trade something, it's important that you understand things, whether you live there, you have a better understanding, or you research it, understand the situation, because what affects any currency, there are a few aspects, and the major aspects are, of course, the level of inflation, the strength of the currency is being affected by that, and the state of the economy and the value of the currency is being affected by that. Okay. All right. Sergio asked about NVIDIA. I think we discussed it. We can take a quick look at NVIDIA if you'd like. But it's the same thing. NVIDIA had a super strong move. And a lot of funds and investors and the big players are involved in NVIDIA. Some predict it's going to go to 700. Some others are saying that it could be fully priced already. So let's see what happens. All right. But again, let's see what the market, how the market reacts today to the Feds. And also we have another run of important data on Friday with the employment and unemployment data from the US. Okay. Okay, Henning's writing, thank you, see you in Cape Town next time. I have assets in ZAR, but live in Germany. Okay, Henning, thank you very much for your feedback. Okay. Regarding Sergio is asking, and again, if I mispronounce your names, I apologize. It's not my strength, but I try my best. So Sergio is asking regarding Euro USD. 2 days ago, European Union reported lower growth as foreseen. How much will it wait after today's US Fed report? Okay, so we partially looked at it. Let's take a look again at Euro USD. Okay. Now, funny enough, Sergio, you're saying here that European Union reported lower growth as foreseen, and somehow I ran across a small article. So they're saying that the slower growth in Germany was offset in the nice growth in. I hope I'm not mistaken, but I think it was France and Spain, if I'm not mistaken. So even though Germany is showing slowdown, but the other two countries, I hope I'm right. So it's France and Spain, they showed strong growth. So Europe overall, it's not so weak. But you're absolutely right about Germany. Germany has been facing a lot of issues. Nevertheless, the German index has been strong. So going back to Euro, Something's happening tonight for sure. As you know, the last meeting, European Central Bank, they didn't change the rates, and they're pretty much on the same course as the US of potentially starting to cut rates this year, maybe summertime. Christine Lagarde mentioned something about it. So, of course, today, if we hear anything solid, first of all, most likely it's going to be no change, right? And that's priced in. But 30 minutes after the announcement, as you know, Powell is dodging the bullets of the press, of the people that are famous and ask questions they know they're going to be influencing the markets. So if there's a strong message, I mean, gradually, again, if you take the interest rate, initially everybody was convinced that as far or as soon as March, it's going to be the first rate cut. But then most of the Feds and in the interviews and other occasions, they mentioned that there's no really rush to do it. And market was a little bit upset, and then we made a new high again. So this time, if we have anything solid about maybe March interest rate cut, we might see continuation to the market. On the other hand, maybe it's already priced in because if you take the S&P 500, besides today and yesterday, we're at all-time highs, and on the other indices as well. So also we had, as I mentioned, Google and Microsoft reported pretty good news, but the stock sold. So you see dollar index here, it's been sitting around 103, a little bit below the 200 moving average and above the 50. And euro dollar has been also waiting for something. As you could see, we're really hugging this 200 moving average here with and today, as you could see, that without even knowing something important is happening today, by this price action, you can know that something is happening today because you have huge tails up and down and we are flat on the day. Open 108.42, close 108.42. We are literally flat on the day. Okay, so I think 2 hours from now is that press conference, and decision is an hour and a half before, if I'm not mistaken. Check your calendars. But we could go either way. We could, again, let's stick to the rules. As you could see here, monthly chart, we've been having a strong resistance around 110. That's something that I mentioned a few minutes ago. We're having a red month. And on the weekly chart, after hitting that low below the parity, 0.97, back in September 2022, we came at the 200 weekly average here on July of last year, and then we sold again to almost 104 and so on. And if you take a look at the daily chart, we've been zigzagging a lot, and as I said, the pair is preparing for something. It's either we're going to have a move up, retesting 110 again and possibly 111, or we're going to go down. And I think the power of Mr. Powell is unlimited. He could move the market one way or another by answering, or sometimes even by hesitating or so on. So we'll be seeing that. Okay, Sergio, I hope that worked. Okay, guys, we're doing great. We're about 30 minutes into the webinar. I like the dynamics, and let's keep on going. We covered a nice amount of instruments. We still have time to go. So I'm waiting for more questions, please. Okay, I'm still waiting. I don't see any questions. And again, I don't want to close the webinar before the time, but at the same time, I really don't like to beg. So I'll give it maybe another 30 seconds. and I'll be happy to receive more questions from you guys. Go ahead. Thank you. Henning is asking about crude oil. Henning, if you don't mind, it's good if you write your own opinion as well. What do you think about oil? If anybody else has anything to say about oil, please write your opinion here. I'm going to read it out. Okay. So crude oil has been acting very unusual. So we all know when the war between the Russia and Ukraine happened, when the skyrocket went to $130, then slowly we come down. Now, when the unfortunate event in Israel happened on October 7th, this is the weekly chart, the oil actually didn't go up. And that was very unusual because every time there's a turmoil in the Middle East, the classical scenario, the oil is going up. So it didn't. And it just showed that demand is not so great. And prior to that, we had a huge move also here. This move up was on the fear of less of supply or supply of the crude oil, as both Saudis and Russians, they cut the production and they kept on holding the low production pace. Now, so there was no initial reaction in October, and as China, which is the big influencer of the oil prices, China showed tremendous amount of issues in the economy. So oil was affected by that as well, and so on. So we've been sliding till we hit the low of 68.79 in November. This was the week of December 3rd. Then we had another move the following week to as low as 67.70, and we had a nice recovery. And then last week we had the move up, and that was also fundamentally due to reaction on American military base being bombed and a threat of retaliation. So there was a reaction here also. Also, that move up was caused partially by China. About the same time, we had the nice recovery on China hitting the 50 moving average here, and we just came back. So as you know, as you could see, that crude oil is not really a very happy camper currently. We hit the 200 moving average here. We gapped above it, and then we right below. And we are currently testing yesterday's low. So this is a big sell-off here. If we close below yesterday's low, we might continue and maybe retest the 50-day moving average here. As you could see, oil is trying to break out of the 80, but every time it gets close to it, like here, November, we hit 79.76. Here we hit 79.58 end of November, and another attempt was a few days ago, and we're back to below 76, right? So we need strong China, which is not happening. We need strong equity markets, which they are strong. The question is, will they sustain the strength? And of course, we need fundamentals on the oil itself, on production side. And I think Saudis just given order to the corporation Anarco, I think the name of it, the biggest producer, to keep the low production. So that means the demand is not that high. So that's what we have here. We have, in the big picture, we have between about 68 and 80 the channel, and every time we get closer to 80, we're having a sell-off. So let's see what China does. Let's see what global markets are doing. How the situation in the Middle East as well develops. I hope we'll see peace soon. Okay, Sean is asking, I'm going to read the question, it's a little long one. Just out of curiosity, what would you regard as the most ideal or fairest of sharing formula if a trader is planning to get a proprietary fund 90-10% or 80-20 or 70-30, 60-40 starting formula? I really don't know. It means more than that. I tell you, when I started to trade in 2000, one of the first firms, the office was in Teaneck, New Jersey. The company was called Ascent, I think. They just brought us, you know, most of the big traders were trading there, and our payout was very low. And I think if you're focusing on the proprietary fund, it depends on your success rate. So you can negotiate with the company. If you show results, and also if back then we had to participate in our own funds partially, then I went to work for another company when I didn't need to bring any of my money. So the payout was a little bit lower, but it's all negotiation. You have to see if it fits you. If you don't have much skills, you probably take any payout because your main goal is to learn how to trade and you're not risking your own money. So you need to find somewhere kind of a golden middle. If you are experienced and you produce good results, they'll be happy to pay you a nice amount. I don't know about these days, but back then the prop companies were making money not on the payouts or whatever they held, or they were making a lot of money on commissions. We used to pay, when I started to trade, maybe a penny and a half per share. Then it went down below a penny, maybe half a penny, 0.75 cents. So just to give you an idea, whether I made money or lost, the first 2 years, I think the company made out of me between $2,000 to $3,000 a day in commissions. So that's why you need to find out. These days, the commissions are much lower. So you need to put all this together. I know it's not the topic of this webinar, but having knowledge about these things and you asking the question, I don't mind. I hope that worked or helped. Okay, Sean? Okay, guys, we'll give it another try. We still have about 20 minutes, and even though I don't feel that great, but I would be happy to keep going. So do we have more market-related questions? If we do, I'll be happy to have them. So I'll give it another maybe 15 seconds for you to type the questions if you have them. I guess not. So I want to wish, you're very welcome, Sean. I want to wish everyone a good evening, and we'll be happy to see you all next week. Please come with more questions so we can use up the full hour. We did great today, about 40 minutes. We had, okay, one more question. I see it happens usually when I say goodbye, somebody throws the question. Natural gas, Sean is asking. What's happening in natural gas? Nobody knows. You know, the gas, it's like an air. It can do whatever it wants. So this was a change of a contract purely. But natural gas has been super weak after hitting the highs for the same reasons probably that the oil did, with the fear of supply and the Ukraine-Russia war and everything else. Then we had a huge sell-off, we had a little bounce 3 months in a row. I had a move to the downside with a nice spike in between, which give maybe false hope to a lot of buyers. And now we're back to this almost $2 things. A lot of it to do with the weather. So if you take these 3 weeks we were going higher on some cold weather, but then they reported that the mild weather came, especially in the US. So it went down. I really don't know what to tell you. It's not an easy asset to trade. At the same time, you lucky. I don't know if you can use this word, or if you're disciplined and calculate your risk versus profit, you might make some good money in it. But it's like I said, commodities are not a very easy field to trade. A lot of fundamentals, like in this case, it's weather related. It's also, if you take natural gas, since the war in Ukraine started, it became a brand new market, with US being involved with the liquefied gas, and Russia kind of giving away a lot of markets. So I think nobody really knows how and what will happen in the near future in natural gas. Okay, right, one more question. Thank you, guys. Francois is asking, can you quickly do weekly US tech analysis? US tech it's been the strongest, as I said. It's been up about 32%, if I'm not mistaken, the past year. So after breaking the all-time highs, we hit the high here actually. That was last week. We hit the high of 17,792. This week we're selling. And on the daily chart, you can take this candle as a reverse candle. It really, the outside, you can call it the outside candle of the previous one, at the higher high and the lower low, and we continue today. So a lot of it to do with the negative reaction of the stocks that reported pretty good. That's like I mentioned, Alphabet and Microsoft. Tomorrow we have Facebook and Apple reporting. So a lot of analysts are expecting similar effect, something they call, you buy the rumors, you sell the news. So tech sector has been on steroids, as they use this phrase. And this is normal. We might see some profit taking, or we might see a global sell-off. And if you look at China, a lot of analysts are really concerned about China. They're afraid of something that happened in 2008 in the States with the bubble, mortgages and real estate and everything else. And who knows, maybe we'll have that sell-off or crash, or maybe we'll just continue higher. But in any event, last year returns been super strong, and it looks like investors are being cautious by taking profits. So that's your weekly report or weekly analysis on Nasdaq. By the way, I mean, if you respect or believe Warren Buffett, he's been for a while sitting on $150 billion in cash, being cautious. So his favorite thing is being greedy when everybody else is fearful, and being fearful when everybody else is greedy. So it looks like in the current scenario, everybody's greedy and he's being fearful. So again, we could have a sell-off we could have a correction like here. This also, everybody thought we're going lower. We made the all-time high, and maybe this leg down is going to be the same thing, correction before making all-time highs, or maybe finally we'll turn around and start selling. So on the daily chart here, take a look. We made a high, and the higher low. Then we made a lower high and a lower low. So if we continue zigzagging lower, we might see the change of the trend as well as happening. All right. Henning is writing here. I assume we have to wait for the verdict tonight before we can prognose gold. You're absolutely right. Good remark. Gold is waiting for tonight. It's been acting up. So it's been acting like it knows that the Feds will start cutting. It goes against the dollar. Also, when you trade gold, you have to pay attention with 10-year yields. It's very sensitive, and I think you can Google it to find it on some providers. The 10-year yields, or these are the yields on the 10-year bonds, US. They've been going down 3 consecutive days. So 3 days ago, on Monday, we were at 414. Currently, I'm looking at the chart now. It's at 392. You know what? I'm going to take a snapshot and show it to you just so we understand what it is. Gold is very sensitive to this asset here. Take a look. See, gold was a happy camper here when we hit below 380 or 3.8% on the yields. Then gold was selling. And take a look, 3 consecutive days down, 3 consecutive days up on gold. So if you're a gold trader, a little bit of a clue to you, find yourself a quote on the 10-year yields, watch it as one of the indicators. Also, selling market that we've seen, it's also affecting gold to the upside as it triggers the safe haven of gold, which is when the risk off on the equity markets, the money comes in. But in this case, I think it's more related to the yields action. All right, guys. I hope it was helpful. I apologize for me not being 100%. I hope next week I'm already be feeling much better. Again, have a good evening, and we'll see you all next week. All the best. Take care.